Right. See what we get.
No, no, it's the sound of my gun.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Aethermaths, the show where we take a bunch of albums and judge and rank them based on their performance, enjoyment, and risk factor. I am your co-host Jace, and today we are talking about Pump by Aerosmith. Aerosmith to me has always been the epitome of dad rock, more so than Nickelback in almost all cases. And with that, while I am no father, I have always been fond of the sound that comes from an Aerosmith album. While not being my favorite classic rock band, they have a lot of good music, and I feel like Pump is no different. It was Aerosmith's 10th album going certified septuple platinum by 1995 and topping in 5th on the US charts. This album has a lot to look into. Firstly, being a tried attempt at Van Halen style arena rock, it barely passes the mark. They were trying to hit with some of the songs being kind of hard to listen to it at times, like Lovin' an Elevator Monkey, On My Back, and Voodoo Medicine Man, were all songs, in my opinion, that felt like just filler and didn't add much to the substance to the album in total. My personal favorites were Young Lust, Fine, and Janie's Got a Gun, being the songs I would return to most often from this album. The energy in both the starting tracks were very high, something needed for a good arena rock record of any size, with Janie's Got a Gun being the slower song that kind of changed the outlook of the album for me in a personal way. Janie's Got a Gun was first a line that Steven Tyler had stuck in his head, and while he was in drug rehabilitation, he heard stories of others being abused by their parents. This in turn angered Tyler, and the song's history was made there as a very good depiction of an unkind world many go through. But without going too dark, I want to pass the microphone over to my co-host Vincent for a more deep dive breakthrough through all the songs on the album.
All right. Thank you very much for the microphone, Jace. Now it's time for me to give my review of Pump. Firstly, my name is Vincent, also known as, and then there would be a bit here where you just show a bunch of really, not inappropriate, but kind of just dumb names, and then I'll get into it. So, how I like to break down albums is I usually like to break them down a little bit by song, giving a brief overview of what I thought. I just typed what I thought while reading it. So I will go through those notes with you, and then I'm just going to give my overall opinion. So firstly, starting out with... So how I thought about Young Lust is that it's a very, very one-note song, and I feel like at the start of this album in general, it's a lot of like a lot of sexual tension type energy, right? It's a lot of that kind of energy just starting throughout the song, starting throughout the album, and it feels a little bit one note for me. At least Young Lust is a very entertaining song, and I will give it that. It is very energetic. It does get the blood pumping. I would listen to Young Lust while going to the gym. So it's an overall decent starter. Like I said, it's exciting at least. It gets the vibe of this album down to a T. It's just very one note in what it is. Next up is Fine, and Fine is fine. Am I right, people? Anyways, it sounds a lot like the last song. Like I said, a lot of these songs kind of blended together to me. And whenever I was listening to this, which I've listened to this album 4 times, this song kind of blended into the first song multiple times for me on that one. I don't really have an opinion on Fine. In fact, it's actually kind of neutral. Next up is Love in an Elevator. And Love in an Elevator is like a pretty decent song. Like, I'm kind of vibing with it. It does match with the sexual tension energy at the start of the album, which, to be honest, the sexual tension kind of stuff, not my biggest thing when I am listening to music. But you know what? I think Aerosmith pulls it off fine. I think they do an okay job at it. But this Love in an Elevator kind of highlights one of my bigger issues with the album. And it kind of like emphasizes most of the issues I have with this album in general. So starting off with issue number 1, it is the length of the song. The song needs to be cut off like like a little bit earlier. And also he just starts screaming the same lyric like 50 times, and I don't really like that very much. I'll be honest with you. If the song was shorter and if he stopped screaming the main chorus, I would like the song a little bit more. So those are kind of the biggest issues I have with the album. It's encapsulated in Love in the Elevator, or Love in a Elevator. Next up is Janie's Got a Gun. This song is awesome. It is so different than the rest of the album. I feel like this really changed. I feel like the fact that it's so different compared to the rest of the album and it's just here is probably why I like it even more, because I feel like that I never really felt more than like a slight positive throughout the entire album until I get to Janie's Got a Gun. And it has like some of the best vocals I've heard from Steven Tyler since the debut album. And the meaning of the song is so good. Aside from like him just screaming the main chorus again, insert cue that sound right here, Jace. Aside from him just screaming the main chorus for like a little bit too long, this song is pretty perfect. It's one of the best songs I've heard from Aerosmith for sure. So good stuff, Aerosmith. Good stuff with Janie's Got a Gun. Don't Get Mad at Me, Get Even is a fun concept of a song with decent lyrics. I just also feels it gets into the repetitive part of like where the first few songs in the album were, where it just divulges into vague arena rock to where I don't really see the difference compared to the rest of the album. It goes along with the themes fine. It's just very generic to me. Next up is My Girl, which reminds me of a really fast-paced version of Bad Moon Rising for some reason out of all songs. It is decent and the length is fine. I feel very above average on that song. It is a fine song. Good job, Aerosmith. Medicine Man is probably the second best song on the album. It sounds vicious in a good way, and I feel like it's kind of different. The intro is weird, very weird though. I do not like the intro. I'm calling the cops on the intro. And lastly, to the last song of the album, What It Takes. Kind of a bad ending. It sounds like Steven Tyler's struggling to hit the high notes. It's very boring and generic. I am not a fan of What It Takes. I'm a hater. I'm an op. Overall, it's a very consistent arena rockish type album that I feel like bands around the same time who were trying to do their arena rock type stuff kind of did it a little bit better. But I feel like there's so much repetitiveness throughout this album that there is only a couple songs that stand out. And the thing is that the songs that do stand out really stand out as they have their own unique sound. But overall, I'm feeling a little whelmed by this album. So that is it. Time to talk with Jace about it. All right, so I guess I'll start off with my ranking first. So I am going to be putting Pump by Aerosmith from 1989 in the C tier. So the reason why it's going to the C tier is that I feel like this album is very one note, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not really made for someone like me because I like the complexity in an album. I get the album has its purpose, right? But the thing is, the things I like most about this album are the things that go off the track of what the album is trying to do. Like Janie's Got a Gun, peak. And that song is so different from the rest of the album. Oh, and Medicine Man, which is also pretty different compared to most of the album, although that one's a little bit more similar. So I feel like the best things I like about this one are the different things, and I only like a couple of songs. I feel like I'm only going to listen to a couple of these songs again coming off of this album. So I am sending this to the C tier. It is a okay arena rock album.
You see, I just have to kind of disagree with that a little bit because I agree that it's mainly like arena rock, but at the same time, for me personally, I enjoy a lot of the high octane energy that comes from the first two tracks. Young Lust and Fine are probably two of like my favorite songs on the album, only below like Janie's Got a Gun. I will say that personally speaking, the second half of the album for me sucks way more than the first half, because the energy just isn't equivalent. But even still, I think the album deserves like a good maybe like low A to like high B tier. Personally, I feel like it's got a lot of good going for it that kind of outweighs the bad songs that you're just going to skip over every time.
Now that we have given our opinions, we must come to an agreement. We are very different on this album because we even like different parts of this album, because I obviously stated that I like more of the other half of the album. I had more favorable opinions aside from that last song, which we can both agree kind of sucks. Like What It Takes. Why is that one of the few songs that got a music video? That's just my take, right? Like, why?
You see, I actually just
but
like
yeah,
I just like Hoodoo Hoodoo Voodoo Medicine Man a lot more, or at least personally.
Wild. Okay,
I,
I will give you this. The intro sucks. Okay, the intro. I don't know.
it
I don't know
doesn't.
why they did
The
that.
song doesn't pick up at any point in time where I'm like, this is a banger right here.
It just sounds consistently like it has like a bark. It has like a vicious sound. I'm like, I'm kind of bumping to this. I'm kind of bumping. I think I also like that it's just different. Than, like I said, I got kind of worn out at the start of the album, and I like how different it was from like the first half. Aside from Janie's gonna get this, we all love that song.
Okay, but I don't know, because to me, Love in an Elevator, Monkey on My Back, two very bad songs on this half of the album. That is the main reason I can't put it like very high on A tier, personally.
Yes,
I
I like
feel
Monkeys on My Back is like one of
Monkeys
the
on My
most
Back is like the
I'll
least
be so
Aerosmith
honest.
song.
It's not a bad song. It's just really forgettable.
I don't know,
Uh,
because like even still, I feel like this album accomplishes what it was meant to do in the first place. And on top of that, just the historic meaning of like Janie's Got a Gun through like the original context of why Steven Tyler wrote the song is fucking heartbreaking if you've seen like the story of why he's done it.
yeah, I have seen the story, and that's why I love the song so much. I have I not seen the story. I haven't seen it. There's no movie about it, but I have Wikipedia the story, and I've seen Steven Tyler do an interview about the story. Because, like I said, the song is fascinating. If you look at the lyrics of the song, it's like it tells the whole story, and it tells it really well.
It does.
So, because the thing is that I respect the historical significance of Janie's Got a Gun, and the thing is that me and you were able to find two different points of enjoyment from this album, right? So I feel like that actually does show a little bit to the album's strength of like it is one note, but the thing is two different people can like two different things about the album, right? So that
Yes.
actually does bring up a good point of a bit more of the strength of the album. So maybe in a spectrum, me personally, it's a weaker album, but the thing is that it has its strengths in its certain areas and it can appeal to a mass audience. So going to our overall ranking, it should probably be placed in B.
I can agree with that, especially with the fact like I don't want it to just be like you talking down on this album, because this album was still certified platinum. It was on a top 5 whenever it released. I am willing to concede that like, oh, it's an Aerosmith album. It's their 10th album. Of course it's going to go like insane. But at the same time, like the fact that it hit top 5 is insane for like it to constantly be heard about as like a bad album, because I feel like it definitely captured the time that it was in, and I can understand I think the time outgrew it more than the album grew out of place.
I would agree. It's very much capturing what this reads to me is very similar to a Van Halen album. Actually.
Yes, exactly.
Very similar to a Van Halen album. And I feel like it did. I feel like it did Van Halen decently well. I do think, like I said, I do personally believe that if we were listening to a Van Halen album, like in place, if we had to compare this to a Van Halen album, that's why I said my part. Like bands like Van Halen kind of did it better, but I think Aerosmith's take on it is fine. Honestly, thinking about this album in retrospective to Aerosmith as a band, it does feel like a natural evolution.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
I have listened to a couple of other Aerosmith's albums. It's like I said, I really like their earlier stuff. Right?
I'm also a fan. I like Toys in the Attic. I like their first album, Aerosmith. They're self-titled. I enjoy those, and those are like mainly my only few like run-ins with Aerosmith. But I feel like there was a progression in between Toys in the Attic all the way to this album, and I feel like they've definitely hit this pretty well with how they were presenting.
And I would completely agree with you. The reason why I can't go anything higher than a B is that I feel like that they were aiming to hit something that flowed with the times, right? And especially if you think about the lyrical context, it's raunchy, it's sexual,
yes,
right? It's very like that throughout the times, right? That's how a lot of the songs were, especially in the late '80s, especially arena rock songs, right? So I felt like it hit the tones it was wanting to hit, but I think here's my take on it though. Aside from Janie's Got a Gun, it doesn't do anything truly revolutionary to the arena rock genre itself.
Yes, I guess I can concede that. I suppose that in the long run, I feel like I just had more enjoyment, and I'm willing to concede down to a B tier from my A.
All right, the B tier it goes. Insert clip of me saying "wabam" as it's placed. Wabam. Okay, maybe keep that in the video. That's so fucking stupid. This is actually all right. Now to the wheel of decisions, Jace. What do you think we're gonna get?
Honestly, I've been listening to a lot of Genesis lately. I really hope for like any Genesis album. I am in love with their music.
Hey, Genesis is very, very good. Invisible Touch, awesome song. That's the only song I know from Genesis that I have on a playlist.
I really hope
but
we
that's
get
okay.
Duke, so then you can
Uh,
add Misunderstanding.
That would be fun. I hope we get a Kinks album. I've been feeling very much about the Kinks lately. They're a very, very good band. So hopefully we get that. I think that'd be a fun album to explore. But I'm open-minded. All right, you ready? We're doing it. What is this?
All right, so how are you feeling about this?
We're doing a soundtrack.
Next time on the Aethermaths, we review the Rent soundtrack. Tune in for this very special episode. Thank you all for coming out. Hello again, everyone. It is I, Jace. I am here while editing this video to kind of clarify some things we didn't say during the end of this episode. My co-host Vincent and I both want to build a community of music lovers, so you can always show ways to support and interact with us in numerous ways. Firstly, we post frequent community posts to kind of gauge what kind of music taste our fans have so we can provide better content in future episodes. And secondly, if you have an album you would like us to review, post it in the comments. It can be any genre from any time period. Vincent and I will try to review a commenter's album once a month. We hope with this that it will not only introduce us to new music from different cultures, but maybe also show you guys unknown artists trying to make a living. With that said, thank you everyone for showing support. We will be back with our review of Rent next Friday. Peace out.